smacked somebody across the face and said, stop looking into his records. You're pissing people off, and you're further dividing your own party from the rest of the voters, and you're deciding for the moderates, and you're deciding for the people who are on the fence because you're being so aggressive. And I think that's what's going on, is the political analysts and the researchers are turning around and telling Pelosi and the other Democrats to back off because they are too divisive, which is fine with me. They can be as radical as they want, and let them look into Trump's records prior. Let them. I personally don't think there's a whole heck of a lot there, but even if there was, guess what? The law and the rules are very clear. You can't impeach him for something he did before he took office. You just can't do it. Everybody who has an interest in this has looked into it. You can't do it. So go ahead, look into his records. Piss off the right, piss off the Republicans, piss off the Libertarians, annoy people in your own party. Go ahead, get divisive, but they're not. They're getting smart. These are socialists. They're worms. They're smart. So I think they're getting smart, and they know that they're getting too divisive and that they're going to lose because of their own aggressiveness, their overzealousness. So they're backing off, and I think they're going to try to go at it a different way. I don't think they're done. I don't think they didn't wake up and see the light and accept the results of the election. That's not what's happening here. My mother always said, don't trust a communist, and my dad always said, don't trust a Democrat. And there's both in Pelosi. So I really don't think that this is the end of it. I don't think they've woken up and seen the light. I think there's something else going on, but I think they're backing off because they know how divisive this is and, how much trouble this is going to cause for their party. And I think they're going to get themselves in trouble if they keep it up. I wish they would. I wish they would go as radical and extreme as they can possibly go into the investigations and the impeachment talk. And then, of course, I've been getting what I want for 3 years now, and I'm not getting what I want anymore, and that has me a little bit mad. I want to talk about something else real quick, and we're going to come right back to the politics. That's obviously why you're here. You're not here because I look good. The other day's broadcast, Sunday's broadcast, I was looking at the analytics. Spreaker gives me these analytics that lets me look at it, and I can look at the age range of all you guys listening. I can look at the states that you guys listen in. People in 12 states and 3 different countries. Just alone, several hundred, listen to the broadcast on Spreaker, and 800 and something have watched this live stream. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for sharing the posts. Thank you for listening on Spreaker. Thank you for sharing it on your page. A lot of people have shared the Spreaker link onto their pages, not just their pages like the Americanist Radio page, but also their personal Facebook pages. And that's where dreams come true. And that's where things make a difference. I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I've wanted to do since I was a child. I've always wanted to be on the radio, and I wanted to talk about politics. I wrote in like 4th and 5th grade. I wrote, those write a 1-page essay. I was writing about Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole. I swear to God, that's not a joke. I drew pictures in like 1st and 2nd grade, like kindergarten and stuff, of Newt Gingrich because I liked him. That's not an exaggeration or a joke in the slightest. And by sharing this, you guys are making dreams come true because people are listening, people are hearing. 9 states and 3 different countries, people heard it. Thank you guys for sharing this, and please keep it up, and I'm going to keep it up. Anyway, back to the politics. Pelosi's backing off. Pelosi's not backing off because she woke up and saw the light. Pelosi's backing off because she knows she's going to get herself in trouble. She knows that she's divisive, and her comments were absolutely spot on. For once, the vampiric one told the truth. It is too divisive. And she's saying that she's not for impeachment unless there's something so compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan. So what she's saying is the only way she's getting back on board is if both the majority of the Democrats and the majority of the Republicans want to go for this impeachment. And that's just not going to happen. That is not going to happen. He has some strong support in Congress. He's got some strong support in the Senate. Congress, on the other hand, I was reading this earlier. From what I can read, the reliable number is 13% approval. Congress is a 13% approval rate. If that's true, It's time for term limits and pay cuts. They make $174,000 a year, and they have their pensions. That's pretty much for life. We're going to even look that up just to make sure that I'm right on that. And yeah, it's $174,000. That's a ridiculous amount of money to serve the people. This is a nation of the people and by the people. It should be an honor to serve your country in an elected capacity. These people become millionaires taking our money, taking your money, taking my money. They take it out of our checks every single week. They tax us to death. And they get all these handouts. They get all this money from special interest groups, from these lobbyists. You want to know how a bill gets passed? It is whoever is interested in that bill that has the deepest pockets. That's how a bill gets passed. Lobbyists, lobbying, giving millions of dollars. And the scary part is a lot of that money that they have to give, they didn't earn it. A lot of it is money that came from you as a taxpayer. Planned Parenthood is government funded. The government gives money to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is allowed to make political donations. All of these groups and these special interests are. So think about this, all right? The Republicans, the right, the libertarians, the right wing, we're having this money extorted from us, from our tax dollars, and it's taken from us in all these forms of taxes. All right, sales tax, the death tax, the capital gains tax, they special taxes on our gasoline. In some states, you're taxed by the amount of rainfall. The government believes they own the rain. You're taxed by the amount of rain that falls in the zip code that you live in each year. You're taxed on your property, even though you bought it with the money that you were taxed on when you earned it. And you got to pay tax every year on the property that you paid tax on when you bought. And you paid tax on with the money that you bought it with. You were taxed on the money, paid tax when you bought it, and you're taxed every year. We're taxed left and right. We're not really taxed at whatever the percentage is supposed to be, 32%, 40, 41%, whatever it is, that's bull. We're not taxed at that. We're taxed at like 60%. Our money is taxed. And then we think about this. If it's a whatever the sales tax is, 6% sales tax, guess what? There's 46. All right, if you're taxed at 40%, you go and you buy, whatever. You go and buy a candy bar, and you pay 6% of that. Well, now you add it. All right, you're taxed at 60 or 70%. They're taking all your money, and now they're giving it, and they always have been. They've been giving it to these groups like Planned Parenthood, and then Planned Parenthood gives it to the political candidate who is going to work in their interest, like Clinton. I'd be interested in seeing, how much money Planned Parenthood gave to Clinton. Let's try to see if we can look that up. So how much funding do they receive? $528 million of your money. Planned Parenthood receives $528 million of your money. Their total revenue, and this one is for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014. The total revenue of Planned Parenthood was $1.3 billion. The total non-government health services was $305 million. The total was $528 million. And they give this money to political candidates. Think about this. Clinton had money for commercials. She had money given to her campaign by Planned Parenthood that came from you. How scary is that we've come this far in this system of extortion and the system of these unjust, unconstitutional, illegal taxes? I will give every penny I have to the one person who can find in the Constitution where it says the government has the right to take taxes. I will give you what I got. It's not there. It's not there. It's not in there. It doesn't say that. You can't do that. And, neither should they, but we let them get away with this. And over and over and over again, these politicians raise our taxes, and they keep doing this to us, and guess what? The left keeps voting for him. The left keeps voting for him. You guys remember, and I do not recall what it was. I just remember the explosion of the heads of the left, or of the right, when Rick Perry, who was, I believe, the Texas governor, called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. And that's what it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. It was a Ponzi scheme before it got passed. It was a Ponzi scheme when it was thought up and developed. It was a Ponzi scheme when it was shoved down our throats. And now it's forced on us. And now they take from that money and we will never see it again. We will never get it back. It's never going to happen. I've spent years, I've spent almost 2 decades paying in. I'm coming up on 2 decades paying in on the books to a system that's not going to be there to benefit me. And you have these people who want to raise it. The left wants to raise the amount of money that goes into Social Security. And both parties, left and right, want to take from it and redistribute that into other programs. And they want to fund this pet project and this special interest group's project, because that special interest group paid them a lot of money to try to get this done, to try to get this bill passed that would take money from Social Security and place it basically in their pocket by endorsing a bill that is going to benefit them. And this isn't just the left, it's the right too. And we have these, I said this the other day, these spineless Republicans in Congress. We have these spineless Republicans in their lack of power, and we have the Democrats who are they are strategic. All right, they have socialism now. And they're open. The cat's out of the bag. The dog they're not even blaming the spilt milk on the dog. They're just not. And they're still strategizing, and they're going. And that's where Pelosi is. This whole backing off impeachment's a strategy. It's a strategy because I guarantee you in the next few weeks, in the next few months, you are going to see a reformation in the Democrat Party, and it already started. It started with Pelosi backing off of impeachment. It started with Pelosi backing off of impeachment, saying that it's not worth it, they're not going to do it, it's only if they have full bipartisan support, and whatever the vampiric one added to that after. I didn't even finish reading it. I don't care, because the minute I saw the headline, I knew what it was. I knew. She's backing off because 2020 is coming up, and they need to be less divisive because they need to bring the most extremes and the less extremes, the diehard liberals and the socialists, and then the moderate Democrats. There's still a big sect out there of actual Democrats, honest Democrats, the Democrats of Reagan's age. The Democrats of Reagan's age are gone in power. They're not there anymore. They're socialists now. They're commies. They're the Reds. They're the enemy. And we are already deep behind enemy lines in this Cold War against socialism. We're there. The most extreme of the left is in power. All right? Nazis were socialists. They're in power here. They're in Congress here. They're running for president here. The Democrats of Reagan's time were in those positions. The do-good, good-heart, useful idiots of the 80s that made up the Democrat Party are no longer in power. They don't have the reins. They're not steering the boat. They're in the back. They're in the cargo hold. They're being hauled along for the ride. And they're underneath and they're rowing. They're voting. They are voting for this because they are misled, they're misinformed, or they're misguided, or they're just nothing more than a useful idiot. Plain and simple, that's all it is. And this is the big thing that I wanted to cover is Pelosi backing off. This is the big deal. Pelosi is backing off of impeachment, not because she saw the light, not because she's not that bad, not because she isn't a horrible person. Nothing of the sort. Do not be fooled by this. She is still a socialist, garbage human being, and she is still a threat and a danger. And I was talking about this with somebody else earlier. You want to know who the real danger is, who I'm worried about. I don't worry about who's in president or who the president is. I don't care who's in office. I really don't, because especially a unified Congress, as scary as that sounds, trust me, you actually don't want a unified Congress, because a unified Congress that goes in your favor is great, but it's a 50-50 shot that a unified bipartisan Congress does not go in your favor, and that is not what you want, especially when you're a libertarian. I don't want bipartisan support as a libertarian. I want a divided, frozen, deadlocked party, because I don't want their agendas pressed, because the agendas of, realistically at this point, either party, the right in power or lack of power really, and the Democrats in power, them moving forward with either agenda is bad for me, because that means more taxes, that means more bills, that means more regulations, that means more government oversight, and all of it is a tyrannical overstep all of it is a tyrannical overstep of government